undefeated. 22-0 overall on the season and 11-0 in the conference. Tonight they're playing the St. Thomas Tommies all the way from the Twin Cities over there in St. Paul. The Tommies are 14-10 this season, and they're 6-6 in the conference. So the Tommies, the best season that they've had so far throughout Division I play, going against the Jackrabbits here once again this season. The last time St. Thomas and the Jacks faced off in volleyball, they played over in St. Paul. The Jacks won that one 3-1. So starting lineups underway here in First Bank and Trust Arena. It's a big game. The Jacks looking to maintain their undefeated record heading into the Summit League tournament. The Jacks are nationally ranked now in blocks per set. They're 6th nationally there and 11th in opponent hitting percentage. So team ranked nationally here, as well as 2 players ranked nationally as well. Sylvie Zonks and Sydney Shetman. Riley Martin and Jocelyn Richardson are each within 10 aces of SDSU's single season service ace record of 36. So well on the way there for Richardson and Martin. So the Jacks 22-0 at the new season mark for Dan Georgalis. His previous high is 19 games in 2021. So this is the first time the Jacks have won 20 matches since winning 25 in 2007. And the Jackrabbits could reach 13 wins in the Summit League season for just the second time in program history if they win tonight and against NDSU on Saturday. So we got the starting lineups now in here for the Jackrabbits. Up first is going to be your setter, number 5, Riley Martin. Next is a freshman middle blocker, Madison Burr, fan favorite here, 6'1" freshman out of Goodhue, Minnesota. Sylvie Zonks, number 10, an amazing player for this team. And there's number 11, Sydney Shetman, a great middle blocker up front for the Jackrabbits, one of the essential players of this team's success. Number 15, Alyssa Groves, a graduate student right side hitter, 6'4", from Slayton, Minnesota. And number 16, Katie Van Egdom, the outside hitter, junior, 6'2", from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The libero tonight, number 17, Jocelyn Richardson, and the alternate libero, number 14, Aaliyah Schlimgen. It's Jackson Black night here for volleyball, so the Jackrabbits sporting a clean black uniform with yellow highlights, yellow numbers, liberos in the yellow jersey with the blue numbers. St. Thomas wearing white tonight, liberos in purple. So I'm a little sick tonight. I've been coming off of an illness, so you're gonna have to bear with me here. We'll see if we lose our voice tonight. It's extremely likely, I would say. And you're gonna hear me cough probably throughout this one as well. But it will survive, hopefully. If not, Braden will have to take over back in the studio. But you know, we'll hope. We'll hope. So, getting set out there for set number 1. Starting lineup for the Jackrabbits and St. Thomas out there now. About ready to go. Aaliyah Schlimgen is going to start off for libero here as Richardson walks over to the bench area for the Jackrabbits. So, Riley Martin's going to start it on the serve. The Jackrabbits on the nearest side to the court to me. St. Thomas, I'm looking at their faces. They're on the far side. So, like I said, Riley Martin behind the line to serve and looking to get a couple aces this game, get closer to that record. So the serve is away. St. Thomas is all over it. They send back a spike. Up front is Shetland, who gets a hand on it, and the Jacks send it back over in a set. St. Thomas back into Jack's end. Schlimgen on the dig. Oops. St. Thomas gets that one. And off the hands of Zonks, out of bounds. Point for St. Thomas. They strike first. So now, Ella Vogel is behind the line, the libero for the Tommies. Vogel gets across to Zonk. Martin sets up Shetland, who's able to lay it down there. St. Thomas can't get in front of that one. Kill for Shetland. It's 1-all in the first set. Sylvie Zonks behind the line to serve. One of the best hitting averages on this Jackrabbits team, number 10. The serve away, almost to the ground, but the libero gets there and sent back across there by Tezra Ruttis, able to get that kill for St. Thomas. So 1-2, Jack's down by 1, set number 1. And serving for the Tommies is Ali Kopp. Zonks with the dig, Martin digging it up. And Van Igdem can't get it quite across the net, blocked up front. Richardson tried to recover there, but not an effective hit on that one. It's 1-3. Thomas getting out a little bit ahead here right away. It's 1-3. Jacks are down by 2. It's almost a service error, rolls down in front of Riley Martin. She tries to dive for it, and it goes out of bounds. Point for St. Thomas. It's 1-4. Jacks down by 3, set number 1. Still Ali Kopp serving for the Tommies, and there's the service error. Hit the net there, point for the Jacks, 2-4. So the libero Jocelyn Richardson back behind the line for the Jackrabbits. She's the other one looking for a couple service aces here, get closer to the record of 36 in one season. Tommy's all over it, sent back across by Ellie Gustafson, and that's going to be a kill for her as Richardson couldn't get in front of it. And it's 2-5 now. Jack's down by 3. Set number 1. And it will be Ellie Gustafson to serve. Zonks on the dig and sent immediately back across by Lauren Galvin, and she's going to get a kill off of that one. Big hit up front near the net for Galvin. 2-6. Jack's down by 4. Zonks to Martin. Tipping across is Groves. St. Thomas all over it. They send one out of bounds. Hit a little bit too hard, so point for the Jacks. 3-6 is the score. The Jackrabbits are down by 3. So Cameron Hahn comes in. Another setter for the Jackrabbits. She will be serving. Hahn's serve to the back right corner, picked up by the Tommies and sent back across wildly, just a bump. Burr's just going to spike it back across. Zonk on the dig now. Burr lays it down. And St. Thomas can't get there. A little bit of delay and clap there as they were able to dig it up off the floor, but it went wild, close to the crowd. They were close to it, couldn't quite get a hand on it though. So still on serving after the kill by Burr. It's 4-6. Hahn on the dig. Schlimgen across to Van Igdem. Van Igdem with the kill. Point for the Jacks on that one. Van Igdem able to send it near the left sideline. Tommies play it, and they send it wild out of bounds. Cameron Hahn again. Picked up by Lauren Galvin. Galvin's going to be the one to spike it across. Hahn to Van Igdem. Close to the line and ruled ruled out of bounds by the flag. Point for the Tommies. It's 5-7. The Jacks down by 2. Haven't led yet this game. Burr on another one. Sent it down. Assisted right there by Riley Martin. Madison Burr with another kill. She's got 2 so far. So it's Rachel Weber behind the line, serving now for the Jacks. Up front, Madison Burr tried to block it, but it was going to end up on her side. She recovers. Zonk sending a spike across. Thomas all over it. They sent back a spike of their own and off the hands of Annalie Ventling-Brown and out of bounds. Point for St. Thomas, 6-8. Jacks having a little bit of trouble here right away. St. Thomas on the serve. That was Morgan Keeley. Jack sent it back in the fashion of Sylvie Zonks on the spike and the kill for Zonks. Point for the Jacks. They're only down by 1 now. It's 7-8, set number 1. Both teams have both timeouts. Madison Burr back behind the line now for the Jackrabbits. Burr's serve picked up there by Lauren Galvin. Sent across by Tezra Rudzis. And the kill there for Rudzis. So Lauren Galvin behind the line for the Titans. It's 7-9. Richardson bumping. Hahn sets up Zonks for the spike and the kill. Sylvie Zonks, excellent spike there, placed in the back row. No one there for St. Thomas. Kill there for number 10. It's 8-9. Jackson a 1-point deficit here, set number 1. Riley Martin on the serve. There it goes, and out of bounds. Hit by Ella Vogel. Wild, and her teammates can't recover. So it's an ace for Riley Martin. She gets closer to the record. Serving once again, it's number 5, Martin. Picked up again by Vogel and sent across by St. Thomas. Blocked up front by Groves. St. Thomas is there for the recovery. Sending a spike now there. Zonks. Martin goes with a direct set, and the Tommies aren't ready for it. They're not prepared. Excuse me. A call. And a kill there for Riley Martin on the direct set on hit number 2. Martin barely ticks the top of the net, but it doesn't go over. Service error for her. The Jacks led for a couple of seconds. It's 10-all now as Thomas gets another point. Weber on the dig, sets up Sylvie Zonks. She sends a spike. St. Thomas barely able to get there, and a block up front by Groves goes out of bounds, and a point for St. Thomas. It's 10-11. Tommies are up by 1. So it's the libero, Ella Vogel, behind the line. Zonks bumps. Martin sets up Groves on the spike, and a kill for Groves, as Ella Vogel couldn't get a controlled handle on that one. And it goes into the crowd. It's 11-all, set number 1. Each team has both timeouts. Sylvie Zonks behind the line now for the Jackrabbits. Serve is way too hard, and it goes out on the back line. It's 11-12. Service error there by Sylvie Zonks. St. Thomas on the serve. It's Allie Kopp. And now Kopp sends one out of bounds. Another service error. It's 12-all. You can just scratch it. All fair. Two back-to-back service errors there. Jocelyn Richardson, the libero on the service. Picked up by the libero for the Tommies, Vogel. They send back a spike. Richardson on the dig. Van Igdam tips above the blockers, and a kill for Van Igdem on the tip. It's 13-12. Jacks are up by 1. Still Jocelyn Richardson serving for the Jacks. Diving pickup there by St. Thomas. They're just going to bump it back over. Zonk sets up Van Igdem on the spike. Tommy's all over it. They spend back a spike of their own. It goes off of Burr's hands out of bounds. Point for St. Thomas, 13-all, set number 1. A little bit closer than the Jacks would have wanted. It's Ellie Gustafson serving. Zogs gets it, and Grove sends a spike out of bounds. Point for the Tommies, 13-14. Jacks are down by 1. Ellie Gustafson to Richardson. Martin bumping across. Van Igdem tries to send a spike. She's blocked up front. Martin sets up Groves this time. And inbounds on the flag, close to the line, called inbounds. Point for the Jacks, 14-all. No challenge. That point stands, 14-all, and it's Hahn on the serve. Close to the line and lands on the line. An ace for Cameron Hahn. Not even touched that time by St. Thomas. Went straight to the floor on the back line. 15-14, Jackrabbits leading once again. Vogel gets it to Galvin, who sends a spike across, picked up by Schlimgen. Sent back across by the Jackrabbits, and St. Thomas with a kill there. I think that was Morgan Keeley who was able to spike that one from the front row. So back behind the line is Peyton William for the Tommies. Picked up by Van Igdem. Hahn setting up Vantling Brown, who's blocked up front. Morgan Keeley again with the block there. Point for the Tommies. It's 15-16, Jacks down by 1. Set number 1, and it is Peyton Williams serving. Zonks, Hahn, Burr sends a spike, and a kill for Madison Burr. 16-all, set number 1. No timeouts have been used. Rachel Weber comes in for the Jackrabbits, and she's going to go behind the line to serve. Rachel Weber, serve away, picked up by the libero and St. Thomas. Sent back across, but just a bump. They couldn't get organized. Hahn sets up Zonks, who sends a kill. Zonks sent that one fast to the back left corner, inbounds. Perfect placement there by Sylvie Zonks. Point for the Jackrabbits, 17-16. Rachel Weber on the serve. Barely clears the top of the net, but does. St. Thomas all over it. They send a spike, and Aaliyah Schlicken can't get there. Point for St. Thomas, 17-all, set number 1. It's Morgan Keeley behind the line serving for the Tommies. Weber, Hahn, Sylvie Zonks off the tip of the block. Point for the Jackrabbits. Middle blockers there, got a hand on it, sent it out of bounds. So point for the Jacks, kill for Zonks. Madison Burr serving now. Picked up by St. Thomas. They're going to send it back here, a spike. And it was Tezra Ruztis near the net. She just tried to tip it over and didn't put enough oomph behind it. And it hits the net and just falls to the ground. So Madison Burr once again on the serve. And this time, Tezra Ruztis tries to get it across, but Sydney Shetton's there on the block. They recover, send back a spike out of bounds. So point for the Jacks. It's 2017, and a timeout's going to be called by St. Thomas. So We'll take a timeout with them. We'll be right back here in 30 seconds on Collegian Sports.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Welcome back in here to First Bank and Trust Arena. Jackrabbits are going to be serving. They're up right now. St. Thomas just took their timeout. They have one left. It's 20-17. Jacks up by 3. Set number 1. Madison Burr on the serve. Picked up by St. Thomas. Sent back across. Burr tries to bump it and sends the ball a little bit too close to the net. Bentley Brown gets caught up over there near the post and can't get a clean hit on the ball. Kill for St. Thomas. 20-18. St. Thomas on the serve. Morgan Keeley serving. Rachel Weber. Hahn. Shetland fake. And Zonks gets the spike. And no one's ready for it. They were ready for Shetland to spike it across, but it goes over to Zonks, and they're out of position. And a kill there for Sylvie Zonks. 21-18. Jacks are up by 3 now. Riley Martin behind the line. Martin across to Ellie Gustafson. Tommy sent it back across and are able to get the kill. This is Addie Schmolzer up on the net for St. Thomas. So Ella Vogel on the serve. Weber, Martin sets up Shetland for the tip, and St. Thomas is ready for that one. Weber gets one hand on it. Jocelyn Richardson scrambles for the dig and sent over by Zonks. And a kill for her. 6th kill tonight for number 10. 22-19. Jacks up by 3, need 3 more to win set number 1. Sylvie Zonks behind the line. Picked up by Ellie Gustafson. Gustafson's going to try to spike it over. But it's Sydney Shetnan and Alyssa Groves on the combined block up front in the right side of the net. 23-19. Jacks are up by 4. It's Sydney Shetnan, Sylvie Zonks behind the line serving. That one went off the hands awkwardly by the Tommies. They recovered, just going to set it across. Riley Martin setting up Shetnan for the tip. Shetland tried to block the return by the Tommies. She didn't get in the right position. That one goes to the court. It's 23-20. Jacks still up by 3. Need 2 to win the set. So it's Allie Kopp behind the line. Picked up by Richardson and sent right across the net. And it was just a duck up there for Megan Wetter, and she spikes it down on the Jackrabbit end. A little bit of bad placement on the bump there by Richardson. Van Igdam going to bump it this time. Shetnan tipping across, and the Tommies are ready for it. Riley Martin diving for the dig. Shetnan sends it to the back left corner, and a kill for her. It's set point in set number 1. It's 24-21. Jocelyn Richardson behind the line here for the Jacks. Richardson across, picked up by the Tommies. Set up is the Tommies. They send it back to Richardson. And Zonks doesn't put enough power behind hers. And it hits the net and drops on the Jackrabbit end. It's 24-22 now. Still set number 1. set point. Number 7, Ellie Gustafson on the serve for the Tommies. Van Igdam. Martin sets up Burr on the kill. Set number 1 goes to the Jackrabbits off of Madison Burr's spike and kill there to finish off set number 1. 25-22 final score here, and we'll get ready for set number 2 right here in First Bank and Trust Arena in about 2 minutes. Stick around.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by locally owned Brookings PowerQuest. Located in the University Mall at 820 22nd Avenue South, you can find everything your ride needs. From essential auto parts to top-notch accessories and customer service, PowerQuest is a one-stop shop for Brookings. Their phone number is 692-6298. PowerQuest is a proud sponsor of SDSU Student Radio, KSDJ 90.7.
Back here in First Bank and Trust Arena for Jackrabbit Volleyball set number 2. Jacks win the first set 25-22 over the Tommies. Take a 1-0 lead here as the Jacks get ready for set number 2. Let's take a look at some of the first set stats. Sylvie Zonk's definitely shining. She has 6 kills tonight on 10 total attacks. She has 1 error and a hitting percentage of .500. 2 assists, 4 digs for her. Madison Burr, she's got 4 kills on 5 total attacks, hitting percentage of .800. And Riley Martin has 1 kill as well on 1 attempt for her on that direct set over on the second in. So a hitting percentage of 1,000 and 5 assists for her, 1 service ace. So switching sides of the court, the Tommies are now on the near side. I see the backs of their numbers, and the Jackrabbits are on the far side of the court, so I can look them in the face. So, interesting. Number 1, Megan Rottenkamp is in for the Jackrabbits here to start off the second set. She's sometimes a starter here. But usually a relief player in the rotation. She's out here to start the second set alongside Zonks, Shetnin, Martin, Van Igdam, and Richardson. Served by the Tommies, Shetnin sends back a spike. And spiking across is Tezra Rutis, and for some reason, Van Igdam gets up and touches that one, maybe touched by a blocker on the front end, but that one looked like it was going out of bounds. Morgan Keeley serving for the Tommies. Zonks tipping over, and the Tommies send back a spike. Roggenkamp bumping. Zonks going to direct bump over on the third hit. And it's Van Igdam to Martin, setting up Zonks with the spike, picked up by the libero. And a point for the Tommies. as Shetland got into the net. I think it's going to be a net violation for her. So it's 0-2. The Tommies ahead by 2 in the second set. Morgan Keeley still serving. Van Igdem bumps. Martin setting up. Zonks for the tip. And the kill. That one took an awkward bounce off one of the blockers' hands. They weren't ready for it. And it's 1-2. Jacks down by 1. Riley Martin still going to go back behind the line for the Jacks. And Martin's serve is away. Picked up by number 9, Lauren Galvin. And a block up front by Sylvie Zonks, denying Addie Schmotzer. And a stop up there, up front by Sylvie Zonks. Brings the score to 2-all in set number 2. Riley Martin still serving. Picked up by Ellie Gustafson. Schmotzer tries to send one, and she gets it off the block tip and out of bounds. So point for St. Thomas, 2-3. Lauren Galvin behind the line for the Tommies. Picked up by Zonks. Riley Martin to Groves on the tip. And Schmotzer sends it right back. Riley Martin to Zonks and meets a wall inside. Tezra Rudskiss there sends a spike. And Riley Martin has to dive out of the way on that one. Kill for St. Thomas. It's 2-4. Van Igdem dives and sends it right back over off the serve. Jocelyn Richardson with an excellent dig there. Richardson again on a dig. Martin setting up Shetnin. Shetnin sends the heat, but picked up by the libero. Richardson digging again. And sent back across. St. Thomas scrambling. And they send one inbounds, close to the line, but inbounds. Point for St. Thomas. It's 2-5. And the Jacks are down by 3. Set number 2. They won the first set. Lauren Galvin serving for the purple. Richardson sets up Shetnin. Shetnin just tipping it over. We haven't seen him the big hit out of Shetnin tonight. And Zonks sends a spike across off the hands of the blockers and out of bounds. So point for the Jacks, 3-5. As the Jacks still down by 2. Sylvie Zonks serving now for the Jackrabbits. And a big spike sent across by Ellie Gustafson, and the Jacks can't get there in time. Point for St. Thomas, 3-6. So libero, Ella Vogel, serving in purple. Martin sets up Shetnin. She just tips it across again, and St. Thomas is all over it. They send back a spike of their own. The Jacks scrambling to recover off that one. Van Igdem lays one across the wrist. And now St. Thomas are the ones who are scrambling. They're just going to bump it back across. Riley Martin setting up Groves, and Groves gets blocked up front by Addie Schmotzer. Excuse me, that was Megan Wetter, actually, for St. Thomas on the block up front. It's 3-7. Jacks are down by 4. Martin sets up Van Igdem. Van Igdem on the spike and the kill there. Point for the Jacks. 4-7. Jacks are down by 3. Sydney Shetnin goes out of the game. Shetnin's, we haven't seen much out of her tonight. She's been doing the tips. Let's see the spike come out from Shetnin. Richardson on the serve. Sent back across by the Tommies. Zonks on the dig. Martin sets up Groves. Groves sends a heater. Point for the Jacks. And 5-7 is the new score. Jackrabbits are down by 2. Richardson still serving. Richardson sent across, picked up the libero, and it's going to be blocked up front by Van Igdem, but out of bounds. So point for St. Thomas. It's 5-8. Allie Kopp serving for the Tommies. Richardson to Martin. Groves tipping above the blockers, and a kill for Groves. Point for the Jacks, 6-8. Jacks are down by 2. Cameron Hahn comes into the game, and she's going to be the one to serve. Hahn across. St. Thomas tries to send it across Madison. Burr's there for the block. They finally just tip it over. Van Igdum sends a heater. And now the Jackrabbits can't get there, as they had about 4 up on the line trying to block and not able to cover the deep left corner where the ball ends up off of the tip on the blockers. So kill for St. Thomas, and another bad dig there by Van Igdum. Sends that one out of bounds, and another kill. St. Thomas leading. It's 10-6. They're serving. St. Thomas, and a block up front by Madison Burr, but she's going to touch the net, I think, and it's going to be another point for St. Thomas. It's 6-11. Jacks are down by 5, and they're going to call a timeout. So we'll be right back here on 30 seconds. I've been Ben Anderson with Collegian Sports.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back in First Bank and Trust Arena here with Jackrabbit Volleyball. The Jacks won the first set, but they're having a little bit of trouble here in set number 2. The score is 6-11. St. Thomas leads that by 5. Serving is Ellie Gustafson, and it will be a service error for St. Thomas. Point for the Jacks, 7-11. Rachel Weber is going to serve for the Jacks. Weber on the serve, and a service error for Rachel Weber. Point for the Tommies. The Jacks needed a momentum change there, and they can't get it. So it's 7-12. Peyton Williams serving for St. Thomas. Weber to Hahn, sets up Zonks. She's blocked. Zonks again. Tipping above the blockers. Point for the Jacks. Net violation by St. Thomas. So it's 8-12. The Jacks are down by 4. I think we might get a challenge here from St. Thomas, saying Zonks may have done a net violation on the first time she tried to get it across. And there will be a challenge. So let's take a look here at the replay. There's few results of a challenge. Either point gets overturned here, the point stands, or we just replay that point. Just challenging that there was no net touch here by the Tommies is what it is. And if that were to be the case and it was overturned, we would replay that point. Looks like there isn't any from the replay, so we may be replaying this point. Yeah, looks close, but I don't think there is. The ball eventually does run into the net, which causes some motion there. But I don't think any of the Tommy blockers got into the net there at all. So just waiting for the official ruling. Yeah, eventually, yeah, the ball does run into the net, which causes some motion up front. But still being reviewed. Still being reviewed. This one looked pretty straightforward. But I guess we'll find out. Still being looked over. I mean, they're looking at a different. So what happened was there was 2 hits by Zonks across the net, because the first one ends up hitting the net and goes right back into her hands. So she sends back another spike, and that one ends up on the Tommy side of the court. So 2 potential of the same kind of looking spikes there and blocks up front. So both being looked at, which might be the cause of the delay. But still waiting. This might be one of the longest challenges I've ever seen in a volleyball match. But still reviewing at the table. Avenir, she hasn't, the head official hasn't talked to any of the other scorekeepers on the bench. Still at the tablet reviewing. So, still waiting. So I guess we could take a look at some stats here through set number 1 and 2. Oh, never mind. Looks like we're gonna get an official ruling about now. So we'll see what that is. So they're going to rule it was touched by St. Thomas at some point. So the Jacks are going to maintain the point and the serve. So Madison Burr is behind the line to serve after that lengthy review. Burr across. St. Thomas, an awkward bump there, but somehow they recovered. Shetland lays it down and a kill for number 11. It's 9-12 now, as the Jacks are only down by 3. They were down by 5 earlier in the set. Burr sends one out of bounds. Service error for her. So it's 9-13 now. Jacks down by 4. It's going to be Morgan Keeley serving for St. Thomas. Rachel Weber, Tahan, and Zonks tipping over the block, and St. Thomas is ready for that. Zonks, Hahn, and Ventling Brown gets blocked up front. Weber diving for the recovery, and Zonks just going to bump it across. And there's the hammer by St. Thomas. Tezra Rudkis. They had possession of the volleyball for a long time. Jackrabbits were scrambling there, and they sent a fast one. And that one is a kill for St. Thomas. 9-14. The Jacks are going to burn their second time out of the set. And we'll step away for 30 seconds right here on Collegiate Sports.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
When the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back here on Collegiate Sports with some Jackrabbit Volleyball. I'm Ben Anderson, Braden Byers back in the studio. Jackrabbits just burned their second time out of the set. It's 9-14, and I guess it pays off. Service error there right away by Morgan Keeley, and the Tommies gives Jackrabbits the first point after that timeout. It's 10-14. The Jacks are down by 4. They haven't led in the second set. Riley Martin serving now for the Jacks. Cross to St. Thomas and a block up front by Sydney Shetnin. And the kill there, 11-14. Jacks are down by 3. Riley Martin on the serve and can't get picked up by Ellie Gustafson, and that means Riley Martin has another ace tonight. Excellent news for Riley Martin, who's getting closer to that service ace season record for SDSU. Another serve there. Riley Martin sets up Groves, who sends that one wild out of bounds into the St. Thomas bench area. And a point for the Tommies. It's 12-15. Jacks down by 3. Lauren Galvin serving. Weber to Martin. Zonks gets set up. And St. Thomas is all over it. Blocked up front by Shetnin. St. Thomas still on offense. They send back a spike of their own. Martin going to direct set across, and another kill for Riley Martin on the direct set on hit number 2. Riley Martin tried it twice, has a kill both times. So good for Riley Martin there. Kill for her. She doesn't get those very often as a setter. Zonks on the serve. Schlimgren on the dig. Martin sets up Shetnin. And St. Thomas sends back a spike. Schlimgren dives for the dig. Groves gets blocked up front. Schlimgren has to just set it over on hit number 3. And Sydney Shetnin with a block now. St. Thomas has to get something together, and they finally send a spike that Aaliyah Schlimgren can't get under. Kill for St. Thomas. That one sent over by Ellie Gustafson. So 13-16 is the score as the Jacks are down by 3. St. Thomas on the serve. picked up by Riley Martin and sent across by Sydney Shetland. She finally sent a spike, and that one's going to be a kill for Shetland. 14-16, Jacks are up by 2. Jocelyn Richardson, the libero, back to serve. St. Thomas just off the dig, sent across. And Madison Burr sent one quick. St. Thomas somehow in the right area to pick that one up. They're scrambling. They send it over on hit number 3. Somehow got control of it. Riley Martin sets up Van Igdam. She sends a spike across. St. Thomas is all over it. And it's Richardson now digging it up. Martin sets up Zonks. Zonks! And a kill for Sylvie Zonks near the back line. Ruled inbounds by the flag. 15-16. Jacks only down by 1 now. And a timeout called by the Tommies. So let's take a look at some of the stats throughout this match. For the Jackrabbits, Sylvie Zonks, she has 9 kills tonight, 2 errors, 19 total attacks, hitting percentage of .368. 2 assists for her, as well as 8 digs, 2 blocks on the front line. Madison Burr, 4 kills on 7 total attempts, hitting percentage of .571. Nothing else for her there. Sydney Shetland, 4 kills, 1 error, 13 total attacks, hitting percentage of .231. 3 blocks on the net for her. Alyssa Groves, she has 4 kills on 3 errors on 13 attacks, and a hitting percentage of .077, 1 block for her. Van Igdam, she has 3 kills, 2 errors, 10 attacks, hitting percentage of 100, and 2 digs for her. Riley Martin, 2 kills, 2 attacks, hitting percentage 1,000, 11 assists, 2 service aces, 2 digs for Martin. Rachel Weber, she has 2 digs tonight. Bentley Brown, 1 error on 2 attempts, negative .500 hitting percentage for her. Cameron Hahn, she has 9 assists tonight. Richardson has 8 digs. Richardson on the serve for the Jacks. Thomas all over it. They sent back a tip. Martin on the dig and sent across by Groves. St. Thomas able to get in front of that one. Riley Martin bumping. Jocelyn Richardson bumping. Van Igdam on the spike and the kill for the Jackrabbits. Ties up set number 2 at 16 apiece. Jocelyn Richardson behind the line. Serving. Picked up by number 9, Lauren Galvin. Sent across. The Jacks just have to bump it over on hit number 3. Sent back. Riley Martin sets up Madison Burr, who's able to get it past the block. A kill for Madison Burr. 17-16. Jacks are up by 1. Jocelyn Richardson behind the line. Richardson sends that one, and it's Lauren Galvin who dives. A huge spike by Ellie Gustafson, somehow dug up by Jocelyn Richardson. Sent back across by Van Igdam. And a set across, and the Jacks aren't ready for it. Riley Martin diving, not in time. 17 all in set number 2. Allie Kopp serving into the net. Service error for the Tommies. Point for the Jacks, 18-17. They now lead set number 2. Jacks were down by 5 throughout the first half of this set. They have no timeouts left. St. Thomas has 1. It's Cameron Hahn on the serve. A little bit of miscommunication on the Tommy sideline. Excuse me, at Tommy's side. And they're going to do a direct set again, and they're going to. So that was Morgan Keeley. And Ellie Gustafson is going to be back behind the line serving. It's 18 all. Zonks bumping. Hahn sets up Burr, blocked up front. Jacks need to get something together. It's Van Igdam just going to tip it over. St. Thomas goes to the right of the block, and Jocelyn Richardson has to dive for it. Somehow the Jacks recover, sent back a tip of their own. A spike comes in from Lori Galvin, somehow dug up by the Jackrabbits. They send another spike. Cameron Hahn on the dig. Sent back by Van Igdam. And the Tommies back on offense. Richardson pops that one in the air. Zox sends it back into play. Richardson able to bump it back into the Tommies side. And the St. Thomas Tommies, and it's Jocelyn Richardson on the dig. Sent back. Tommies trying to put something together. Just send another spike. Richardson digs. Hahn, Van Igdam, tipping above the block. St. Thomas is there. They send a spike. It's out of bounds. Ruled inbounds. Point for the Tommies. Challenged by head coach Georgialis. I don't know why that was a Tommy point. I'm not on the court. A lot of celebration on the Jackrabbit sideline and in the arena, but somehow ruled a point for St. Thomas. A challenge by head coach Dan Georgialis. We'll see. So yeah, the ball was just ruled inbounds. I think that was clearly out. We'll see. Jack the Jackrabbit can't even believe it down on the sideline. He's perplexed. That was a huge volley. Huge volley. Jocelyn Richardson run around many crucial digs for her. Some of the spikes were very fast onto her side, able to get in the right position and pop those up for her teammates to make a play. One of those headed towards the scorer's table. Sylvie Zonk's able to dive over there and bring it back into bounds, and Richardson able to just dig it across. So the call stands. Point for the St. Thomas Tommies. So 18-19. Jacks are down by 1 now in set number 2. It'll be Ellie Gustafson serving for purple. Zonks, Hahn, Burr sends a spike and out of bounds. Point for the Tommies. That one looked really close to the line. 18-20. Jack the Jackrabbit's still confused over there. Richardson on the dig. Hahn. Zonks gets blocked up front by Megan Wetter. And the Jacks are starting to lose their grip on this one. Set number 2. It's 18-21. Jacks are down by 3. They have no timeouts left. Van Igdam digs. Hahn setting up Van Igdam on the spike. Picked up by the libero for the Tommies. Back across, block up front by Bentley Brown. Tommies need to get something together, and Madison Burr is the one who gets the dig there. Van Igdam tries to set a spike, and she gets blocked. Hahn to Bentley Brown. She sends one across. Point for the Jackrabbits, kill for Anna Lee Bentley Brown. 19-21. Jacks are down by 2. Set number 2. No timeouts remaining. They won set number 1, 25-22. Rachel Weber, number 2, serving for the Jackrabbits. Picked up by the libero. The Tommies send it back fast and not able to be picked up by Aaliyah Schlimgen. She was diving for it. Sent over by Lauren Galvin. Peyton Wilson serving for St. Thomas. It's 19-22. Richardson to Weber. Zonks on the spike. Inbounds. Point for the Jacks. 20-22. Madison Burr comes in for the Jacks, and she's going to be behind the line serving now. It's 20-22. Jacks are down by 2. Set number 2. Burr across. Galvin there. Galvin's going to get a chance to spike it over, and Shetnin's block is not effective. Point for the Tommies. 20-23. Jacks are going to need to go on a run here. Morgan Keeley. A whistle, and the Tommies are awarded a point. There's a Jackrabbit rotation error. A little bit of confusion. So it's called a rotation error by the Jackrabbits and immediately awarded a point for the Tommies off of the serve. So it's going to be set point for St. Thomas. That one goes out of bounds on a service error. Hopefully starting the run here for the Jacks, 21-24. You know, it's one of the star-studded cast for the service team. Riley Martin back behind the line for the Jacks. Jackrabbits are going to need to go on a run. It's set point. St. Thomas is all over it. They send a spike. Martin, it goes off her shoulder. Schlimgen just going to bump it over. Gives St. Thomas a duck. Blocked by Groves. Blocked by Groves again. Alyssa Groves with the stop up front for the Jacks. 22-24. And a timeout called by St. Thomas. So we'll be right back here in 30 seconds. Stick around. This is Collegian Sports.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back here in First Bank and Trust Arena. Coming to a close, set number 2. It's a nail biter, 22-24. Tommies have set point. Jacks have been going on a little bit of a run. It was 20-24 previously. Riley Martin serving for the Jackrabbits. Martin's serve is inbounds, barely played by the Tommies, and they send one back. It's Lauren Galvin on the kill. The Tommies are going to take set number 2, 25-22. So ties up the match 1-1. So we're going to get ready here for set number 3. So we put 5 minutes up on the clock, and both teams will head into the locker rooms and change sides of the court. And we'll be getting ready here for set number 3. So we'll be back in a little bit. A couple minutes here, break for me and my throat as I can feel myself starting to get a sore throat. So we'll take a little bit of a break. We'll be right back here on Collegiate Sports. I'm Ben Anderson. Braden Byers with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners. Don't you wish your life came...
Support comes from the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum in Brookings, inspiring a passion for the diverse history, culture, and science of agriculture in South Dakota. To learn more about exhibits and events, you can visit agmuseum.com.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by locally owned Brookings PowerQuest. Located in the University Mall at 820 22nd Avenue South, you can find everything your ride needs. From essential auto parts to top-notch accessories and customer service, PowerQuest is a one-stop shop for Brookings. Their phone number is 692-6298. PowerQuest is a proud sponsor of SDSU Student Radio, KSDJ 90.7.
Support comes from the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum in Brookings, inspiring a passion for the diverse history, culture, and science of agriculture in South Dakota. To learn more about exhibits and events, you can visit agmuseum.com.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. Talk to someone if you're struggling with mental health, because most people out here really care. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Collegiate Sports. I'm Ben Anderson here inside of First Bank and Trust Arena. We've got set number 3 about to begin here as the Jacks lost set number 2 narrowly there. So tied 1 set apiece. The Jacks won set number 1. So this one at least going to 4 sets tonight. And set number 3 about 20 seconds before we get underway here. So the Jackrabbits are on my near side now, and the Tommies on the far side as the court changes. So Jack's going to need to play a little bit more effectively here in this one. It looked a little rusty in that second set. And some technical errors cost them that set. So Riley Martin comes in for the Jacks to serve. Martin's serve to the back row, picked up by the libero, sent back across by Gustafson. Kill for her. Point for the Tommies. They're going to lead right away here in set number 3, 0-1. Vogel on the serve. Picked up by Van Igdam. Martin. Zonks gets blocked. Point for the Tommies, 0-2. So Jack's going to need to get something going here. It's Ella Vogel again serving for the Tommies. Van Igdam, Martin, Shetnin tries to tip above the block, but the blockers get there. It was too slow. And Zonks with the block on the Tommies. That time Shetnin can't get a hand on it, and a point for the Tommies. So 0-3 in set number 3. Jacks can't really get anything together. It's Ella Vogel still serving. Richardson, Martin, Shetland sends a spike. Finally, point for the Jacks. Shetland needs to start spiking it. She's usually throughout this game, she's just been tipping it across, and St. Thomas has been ready for it every time. It's 1-3. Jacks are down by 2. Tommies get blocked up front by Shetland. They scramble. Shetland just tipping across, and that time Martin has to set up Van Igdam. And the Tommies scrambling again, and they send it out of bounds. Point for the Jacks. It's 2-3. So the Jacks down by 1 now. Sylvie Zonks serving. And that time Shetland's block is not effective. It goes off her hands and out of bounds. So it's 2-4. Jacks down by 2. So behind the line is Allie Kopp. Van Igdam gets it. Martin and Groves just going to set it over. And some type of violation, a whistle there, a point for the Tommies. 2-5. The Jacks are down by 3. Remind you, it's the Tommies are 14-10 on the season, 6-6 in conference play. Alyssa Groves there with the kill. Spike there. Much needed point. 3-5. Set number 3. Jocelyn Richardson behind the line. Richardson's serve picked up by Galvin. And a tip across by Megan Wetter. And the Jacks get caught out of position, so point for the Tommies, 3-6. Ellie Gustafson serving. Richardson bumps. Martin setting up. Burr, she gets blocked up front. Megan Wetter again. Point for St. Thomas, 3-7. Jacks are down by 4. Ellie Gustafson. Zonks gets there. Burr setting up Van Igdam. Van Igdam gets it across off the block. St. Thomas is all there, and Richardson can't get it over on hit number 3, as that one was barely kept off the ground by 2 other hits by the Jackrabbits, and Richardson has to dive. She can't get there, so point for St. Thomas. It's 3-8, and the Jackrabbits are going to use their first of 2 timeouts. It's not looking good for the Jacks. They're playing a little worse than they usually would. It's 3-8, set number 3. They took a loss in set number 2 and won set number 1 by a good margin. Need to see some more out of Sydney Shetland. She's been a little quiet tonight. She has 16 total attempts on attacks, but excuse me, only 5 kills. She has 1 error on that too. So hopefully we get to see a little bit more. Richardson, she has 11 digs tonight. So definitely been running around on that side of the court. As for St. Thomas, Ellie Gustafson has 9 kills, and Lauren Galvin also has 9 kills for them. So timeout concludes by the Jacks. It's 3-8. Jacks down by 5, and St. Thomas on the serve. It's number 7, Ellie Gustafson. So, just waiting for one of the St. Thomas players is talking to an umpire right now. Just clarifying some things, relaying to the head coach. No challenges, nothing like that. So, Ellie Gustafson. And now the Jacks head coach is talking to a referee. And again, St. Thomas is talking to a referee. So a little bit of delay. There's a couple boos in the crowd. And again, relaying to the head coach. Some more boos in the crowd. I think finally we're ready to get underway. Still Ellie Gustafson back behind the line. Been waiting for her. She's just been waiting back there for the whistle. Sylvie Zonks digs. Martin sets up Groves. She sends it way too long. Gets it out past the Summit League logo inside of the free throw line for basketball. And that's out of bounds. So Jack's down by 6 here in set number 3. It's 3-9. Gustafson serving. Zonks. Martin. Burr sends one. And dug up by St. Thomas. Block up front by Burr. St. Thomas has to stay on the offensive. Again by Burr. And that time Groves gets some hands on it. And that one falls down to the court on the Jackrabbit side. Point for St. Thomas. The Jacks are down by 7. It's 3-10 in set number 3. Gustafson, Van Egdom, Martin, Burr, and St. Thomas is ready for that one. Block up front by Burr, ends up going on the Jackrabbit side, recovered by Van Egdom. St. Thomas now trying to put something together. They just tip into an empty space. Richardson has to dive for it, and then they go the other way, and Zonks isn't in the right position. Covering for Richardson, who had to go to the front row, and it's 3-11. The Jacks couldn't even score after the timeout. They take their next timeout. They have no timeouts left in set number 3. They didn't score when they took their first timeout. It's 3-11. Something's not working here for the Jackrabbits. They need to get it figured out. Otherwise, they're going to take their first loss of the season here at home versus a 14-10 team, 6-6 in the conference. This team just lost to Omaha earlier this week, and South Dakota State's beat Omaha 2 times this season and beat St. Thomas earlier this year in St. Paul 3-1. So something needs to change. Again, this is the best St. Thomas has ever played throughout their D1 career. It's 3-11. Jacks are down by 8. Set number 3, tied 1-1 in sets. And still, Ellie Gustafson serving for the Tommies. Gustafson. Cross, Zonks to Martin. Burr sends a spike. There's some open space for Madison Burr. She finally gets a kill here, and the Jackrabbits get a point. 4-11. Cameron Hahn is back to serve for the Jackrabbits as some substitutions are made. It's 4-11. Jackrabbits are down by 7. Hahn, a nice placed serve, makes the Tommies scramble for it, but they get it across into Jackrabbit end. Van Egdom gets blocked up front by Megan Wetter again. And a point for St. Thomas. It's 4-12. The Jacks are down by 8. Peyton Willman back to serve for St. Thomas. It's Van Egdom. Hahn. Vanling Brown sends one. Ventling Brown sends the heat there. Gives some life to the Jackrabbits. 5-12. The Jacks are down by 7. Rachel Weber serving now for the Jackrabbits. That one almost doesn't go across the net, but rolls over. And the block up front by Madison Burr keeps the ball on the Tommy end. It falls to the court. Block from Madison Burr. Point for the Jacks, 6-12. Jacks are down by 6. Set number 3. Sets tied, 1 apiece. Rachel Weber. That one almost went out of bounds, but it gets played by the Tommies. Schlimgen on the dig. Hahn to Zonks. She gets blocked up front. Weber now on the recovery. Hahn to Ventling Brown. Sends it cross court out of bounds on the left sideline. Point for St. Thomas, 6-13. So Morgan Keeley serving for St. Thomas. Rachel Weber, Hahn, Zonks denied by the net there. Point for St. Thomas, 6-14. Jacks down by 8. Richardson bumping, Hahn, Burr tips over the blockers. They're able to recover. And St. Thomas sends one out of bounds. Point for the Jacks, 7-14 now. Jacks need to get something together. They need to flow. Haven't had a good run here in a long time. Madison Burr. Service error for Madison Burr right into the net. Not what you want to see. So 7-15, Jacks down by 8, set number 3. Serve by Galvin. Jacks trying to put something together. Zonks, high spike into Tommy territory, and the block's ineffective up front by Ventling Brown. It falls right behind her. Richardson tried to dive for it, but couldn't get there in time. 7-16. Jackrabbits down by 9 now in set number 3. Richardson bumping Hahn to Shetnin. She tries to spike across, finds the block. It stays on the St. Thomas side, and there's going to be a net violation by St. Thomas. Point for the Jacks. It's 8-16. Here comes Riley Martin in to serve for the Jackrabbits. Martin serve to the back row, Lauren Galvin. A heater sent over by Tezra Rutsis, and Schlimgen just can't get there. The bump flies into the crowd, and a point for St. Thomas. It's 8-17. The Jacks are down by 9 in set number 3. It's not looking good. Served there by the libero in St. Thomas. Zonks gets it across, and that one falls to the court, so kill for Sylvie Zonks, 9-17. Jacks are down by 8. So let's see if Sylvie Zonks can get something put together for the Jacks. She's behind the line to serve. Here's the serve to the back row. The libero gets that. St. Thomas sends a spike back. Zonks on the dig. Martin bumps it to Groves, who just sets it over. And block up front by Shetnin. Block up front by Groves. St. Thomas needs to find open space. They do. And it ends up in front of Aaliyah Schlimgen, and she bumps that one to the left into the crowd. Point for St. Thomas, 9-18. Jacks down by 9. Set number 3. Sets tied 1-1 here. Ali Kopp serving for St. Thomas. And a spike hits Zonks in the face, but the ball stays up. And Van Ingham needs to just bump it across. And Richardson gets an excellent dig there. And the Jacks capitalize. Point for the Jacks. That one was really close to the floor. Richardson diving, gets one hand under it, and pops it up for Zonks, who's able to capitalize there for the Jackrabbits. 10-18. Richardson on the serve. Picked up by Vogel. Block. Let's see if Richardson can keep it going here. She's serving. picked up by Vogel. And they set up Megan Wetter, and her spike goes off the hands of Madison Burr to the left, out of bounds. So off the touch by Burr, out of bounds, and point for St. Thomas. 11-19. Serving is Gustafson. And tipped over by Groves, and a net violation by Groves. Point for the Tommies. 11-20, and we're back to a 9-point deficit for the Jackrabbits here. Van Igdam bumps. Martin gets it to Burr, tries to tip it across, meets the block. And Burr has to just quickly bat it back across. Richardson on the dig. Zog sends a spike. Somehow they're in the right place to get that one. Van Igdam sending a spike of her own, picked up by the libero. Vogel. St. Thomas sends it back over. Riley Martin has to dig it. Richardson gets it to Van Igdam, and she sends it long out the back, out of bounds. 11-21. The Jacks are down by 10 in set number 3. I've never seen it like this before for the Jackrabbits. Richardson on the dig. Martin to Van Igdam. Van Igdam sends it out of bounds again. 11-22. The Jackrabbits are down by 11 in set number 3. Zonks bumping. Martin sets up Groves. She gets a kill. 12-22. The Jacks are down by 10. St. Thomas only needs 3 more points to take set number 3. That would force the Jacks to try to go to 5 sets here. Cameron Hahn on the serve, picked up by Vogel and sent back fast by Wetter. Dug up by the Jackrabbits. Van Igdam tries a spike, blocked up front by Wetter. Van Igdam gets an opportunity again. She gets it over the block. Wetter sends a spike and a kill for Megan Wetter. So 12-23, St. Thomas needs 2 more to put away set number 3. Peyton Woolman. Richardson's there. Zog's bumping. Van Igdam sending a spike across. Had some spin on that one. Took a curve. Point for the Jacks. 13-23. Van Igdam gets subbed out. Rachel Weber comes in to serve. 13-23. Jacks need a big one, like a big run, like a 13-point run to take this one back. Zonks, Schlimgen. Madison Burr gets blocked. Schlimgen dives for the dig. And they're going to give St. Thomas the point on some foul by the Jackrabbits. So anyways, point for St. Thomas. It's set point, 13-24. Zonks sets up Hahn. Burr sends a spike. There's a hit by Madison Burr. And Burr is going to be the one to serve. Had a service error earlier today. 14-24. This one goes over, inbounds, played by St. Thomas. Weber gets one hand on it. Burr completes the motion. Zonk sends a spike. St. Thomas on the dig. And Hahn now digging. Weber to Ventling Brown, sending a spike across. St. Thomas is there. Weber diving again. Hahn to Zonk. She gets a spike inbounds. Point for the Jacks, 15-24. 9-point deficit. Madison Burr back behind the line. Still set point for the Tommies. Goes across, picked up by the libero, Vogel. Across by Tezra Rudkis. Out of bounds. So point for the Jacks, 16-24. Jacks down by 8. Madison Burr. There. St. Thomas scrambling, blocked up front by Zonk. And there the Tommies are going to put it away. Shetland couldn't get tall enough to block that one. So, set number 3 is a blowout, 16-25. The Jackrabbits lose that one. Had some good momentum at the end, but still not what you want to see. Jacks lose that one by 9 points, set number 3. So St. Thomas takes two sets to the Jackrabbits 1, and we'll see if the Jacks can force a 5-set game here in set number 4. Coming up in about 2 minutes right here on Collegiate Sports. I'm Ben Anderson. Braden Byers with us. Stick around. It's going to be a good one.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
So what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Support comes from the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum in Brookings, inspiring a passion for the diverse history, culture, and science of agriculture in South Dakota. To learn more about exhibits and events, you can visit agmuseum.com.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. Talk to someone if you're struggling with mental health, because most people out here really care. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Back here in First Bank and Trust Arena for Jackrabbit Volleyball. The Jacks just lost set number 3 big time. Final score 16-25. Jacks lose it by 9. So St. Thomas is up by 2 sets. The only chance the Jacks have is to win set number 4 and force set number 5. So chance to be a good one. Otherwise, the Jacks let this one slip. It'll be their first loss of the season. So the Tommies are on the near side to me. The Jacks are on the far side. Number 5, Morgan Keeley on the serve. Hahn sets up Zonks. She sends a spike blocked up front by the Tommies. Zonks gets a chance again. Is close to the line and ruled out of bounds. Point for St. Thomas. 0-1 is how we start set number 4. Morgan Keeley and service error for her. Sending that one out of bounds. Point for the Jacks. 1-all. Serving for the Jacks, number 8, Madison Burr. Burr serving, picked up by Lauren Galvin. And awkwardly off the block, Burr dives for it. Zonk sends a spike, picked up by the libero. Sent back across by Galvin inside the restricted zone for basketball and way out of bounds. Point for the Jacks, 2-1. Burr serving. Picked up there by Gustafson. And a hard spike by Addie Schmonser. inbounds in the back left corner. 2-all, set number 4. Jacks need to win. Lauren Galvin serving. Picked up by Richardson. Hahn to Zonks. She finds open space off the spike. Kill for Sylvie Zonks. 3-2. Jacks up by 1. Riley Martin behind the line. Martin's serve, picked up by Gustafson. Close to the net. And no recovery possible by St. Thomas. And it's Riley Martin with another ace. And Riley Martin still serving. 4-2. Jacks up by 2. Martin across to the libero, Vogel. Gustafson gets it across into the block of Shetland, but falls on the Jackrabbit side. 4-3. Jacks up by 1. And it's going to be Ella Vogel serving the libero for the Tommies. Richardson off the dig. Martin's there, and Groves out of bounds. Point for the Tommies. Ties up 4 at 4-all. Vogel, Richardson, Martin to Zonks. She gets the kill off the spike. 5-4. Jackrabbits up by 1. Sylvie Zonks back to serve. And out. Service error there, out a little long. 5-0. Set number 4. St. Thomas is going to get that one. Allie Kopp back serving. Van Igdam. Martin sets up Groves. She sends a spike across. And Van Igdam off of the dig of the Tommies. Too close to that. Van Igdam able to just get up and lay down the hammer on the St. Thomas side. So Jacks with the kill, 6-5. Jocelyn Richardson serving. Picked up by Vogel, and it's Galvin who sends it to the Jackrabbit side. Van Igdam blocked up front by Wetter. Point for the Tommies, ties it up at 6. Ellie Gustafson serving. Zonks, Martin, Groves, picked up by the Tommies. Martin to Richardson. Groves again, blocked up front. Richardson, Van Igdam, not able to lay it down. Wetter sends one, and the kill for St. Thomas. It's 6-7. Gustafson still serving. Zonks, Martin Burr sent quickly back across by the Jackrabbits, and a block up front by Alyssa Groves, denying Lauren Galvin. Ties up set number 4 at 7 apiece. Like I said, it's going to be a close one. It's Cameron Hahn serving. Picked up by Galvin. And Galvin's going to get a chance to spike it across. Shimgan on the dig. Hahn to Vantling Brown with the spike. Dug up by St. Thomas. Zonks, Hahn, and Burr tries for the tip. Blocked up front by Wetter. Van Igdam finally just going to smack it across. And it's Galvin who, off the tip of the block, goes out of bounds. So point for St. Thomas, 7-8. Jacks down by 1. Peyton Willman in for purple. And she's going to serve. Oh, barely across. And Vantling Brown in motion to get in the right place. The ball hits the top of the net, takes an awkward spin, and no one's there. So an ace for Willman. That time an error by Willman goes far out of bounds. Point for the Jacks, 8-9. Megan Weber coming in for the Tommies, and Rachel Weber out serving. Vogel on the dig, an attempted tip by Addie Schmotzer, and she's going to double touch near the net as she didn't put enough behind it. So 9-all. Rachel Weber serving, picked up by the libero, Vogel. Sent back by Galvin off the bump of Slimgen and out of bounds. So 9-10. Tommy's ahead by 1. Here's set number 4, must win for the Jackrabbits. Served by the Tommies. Zonks on the spike and the kill. Point for the Jacks, 10-all. Madison Burr goes behind the line. Picked up by Galvin. And Motzer gets blocked up front by Zonks. And Cindy Shetton with the block up front for the Jackrabbits. A denial in the middle of the net. 11-10. Jacks ahead by 1. Madison Burr still serving. Tips the top of the net, but goes over. Weber to Hahn on the direct set, and it's successful. Kill for Hahn. Point for the Jackrabbits off the direct set on hit number 2. 12-10 as the Jacks take a 2-point lead here in set number 4. Madison Burr. Serve away, picked up by Gustafson. To Keeley, across, Hahn there. Ventling Brown sends a spike, and a kill for Ventling Brown as the ball lands in front of Ellie Gustafson, and it forces the Tommies to take a timeout. 13-10, the score in set number 4. We'll be right back here in 30 seconds. You're listening to Collegian Sports.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is often laced into illicit drugs and used to make fake versions of prescription pills. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it. Suppliers mix fentanyl into their products because it's potent and cheap, and the dealer might not even know. Keep yourself and others safe by knowing the real deal on fentanyl. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back, First Bank in Trust Arena. Jacks ahead by 3 here in set number 4. It's a must-win. Jacks down 1-2 in sets overall. Madison Burr on the serve. Picked up by the Tommies. They can't get anything together. Just 3 consecutive bumps into the middle of their side, and no one really attempted to get it over to the Jackrabbit end. So point for the Jacks. Service ace for Madison Burr. 14-10. Jacks ahead. Burr on the serve. Picked up by Gustafson. And it's Galvin who sends it across. Weber on the dig. Zogs with a spike. A kill for Sylvie Zonks into the back right corner of St. Thomas, and no one's ready for that one. Madison Burr still serving. Gustafson bumps, and across, it's Rootkis. And Zonks again. Zonks with another one off the blocker's hands and down on the court. Madison Burr, Gustafson, and Rootkis. That time off the hands of a blocker and out of bounds. Point for St. Thomas. Jacks ahead by 5 here in set number 4, 16-11. Lauren Galvin back behind the line. Richardson, Hahn, and Zonks denied up front. But a net violation on St. Thomas gives the Jacks a point. 17-11. Also gives Sylvie Zonks her 18th kill of the night. So it's Riley Martin serving, and it's out of bounds. The service error there by Martin. 17-12. Jacks up by 5. Ella Vogel, the libero in purple, serving now for the Tommies. Weber, Martin, Shetnin tips above the block. Libero's there. And back across. The Jackrabbits give it to Zonks. A whistle. Excuse me. Point for the Jackrabbits. Off of a foul by St. Thomas. So 18-12. Jacks up by 6. Sydney Shetman, Sylvie Zonks. And that's Sydney Shetman. A crazy spike. You could hear that thing whiz by. No one was getting in front of that thing. Kill for Sydney Shetman. 19-12. Jacks ahead. Shetman with the bump. Martin sets up Shetman again with the spike. That time the libero's in the right position. And the Tommies send a spike of their own. Tezra Rudzis. Aaliyah Kopp serving for the Tommies. Richardson, Martin, Shetman, and a net violation up front by Megan Wetter when she attempted to reach across. So Richardson back behind the line, and set number 4 for the Jacks looks a lot like set number 3 for St. Thomas. It's 20-13. Jacks ahead by 7. Gustafson sends across. Zonks there. Martin direct set. That time they're ready for it. And they send a direct set of their own, and the Jacks aren't ready for it. So point for St. Thomas. Morgan Keeley there on that direct set. 20-14. Jacks ahead by 6. Gustafson serving. Zonks, Martin, and it's Groves on the spike, but Tommy's all over it. Zonks pops it up off the dig. Martin sends it all the way across to Van Igdam, and Van Igdam's going to get the kill, assisted by Riley Martin. 21-14. Jacks up by 7. Set number 4. Cameron Hahn going back behind the line for the Jacks. Hahn serve, inbounds, looks good. Sent across by Wetter, and no Jacks in the area. Point for the Tommies, 21-15, set number 4. Some substitutions made. Peyton Willman back to serve for St. Thomas. Zonks, Hahn, and Burr with the spike. somehow dug up by Peyton Willman, but she sends it crazy out of bounds on the Jackrabbit side. Point for the Jacks. Kill for Madison Burr, 22-15. Rachel Weber back behind the line. Picked up by Vogel. And Galvin gets denied up front by Madison Burr. Huge block for number 8. And Weber still serving. It's 23-15, set number 4. Weber across to Vogel. And spiking across Gustafson. Hahn dives. Weber's there, and Zonks recovers back to the St. Thomas end. Hahn to Weber. Bentley Brown with the spike. A kill for Annalie Ventling Brown. And it's 24-15. Set point in set number 4 for the Jackrabbits. Rachel Weber back serving. Weber gets an ace. It was a must-win in set number 4 for the Jackrabbits after losing set number 2 and number 3 to St. Thomas. Rachel Weber able to get the ace there, tipping the top of the net and dropping right on the Jackrabbit logo in mid-court. And set number 4 comes to a close, 25-15. Jacks take it by 10 for set number 5. So we'll be right back here in about 2 minutes when that gets underway here in First Bank and Trust Arena. So we'll be right back. I'm Ben Anderson. Braden Byers with us. You're listening to Collegiate Sports.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by locally owned Brookings Park West. Located in the University Mall at 820 22nd Avenue South, you can find everything your ride needs. From essential auto parts to top-notch accessories and customer service, ParkWest is a one-stop shop for Brookings. Their phone number is 692-6298. ParkWest is a proud sponsor of SDSU Student Radio, KSDJ 90.7.
Get hurt in a game? We tough it out. Feel exhausted? We push on. Feeling down? We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. But there are times when bootstraps aren't enough. When stress gets to us and we need to talk to someone about what we're really going through. So we're going to reach out, because sometimes mental health is not a one-person job. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no, 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 no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning, the cap is loose on that catch-up.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Welcome back. First Bank and Trust Arena. It's Jackrabbit Volleyball as the Jacks win set number 4 and force set number 5 here in a close one against St. Thomas. So it all comes down to this. Both teams with 2 set wins. Set number 5 about to get underway. St. Thomas on the near side to me, the Jacks on the far side. It's Rachel Weber, number 2, back behind the line serving. Picked up now by Galvin. And it's going to be Rudis who sends it back over. Weber to Zonks. She spikes it across. And that time, again, Rudis, that one goes out of bounds. Called point for the Jackrabbits, 1-0. But here comes a challenge by St. Thomas. So let's see what we got here. So St. Thomas going to be challenging that there was a touch by a Jackrabbit player before that ball went out of bounds. Let's take a look at the replay. Gets popped up by St. Thomas. The spike comes in. Oh, and that looks really close to the hands of the blocker up there. I think it was Zonks. It's close. It may have been touched. But again, there's not really a change of spin on the ball after it gets touched, or after it passes the hands of Zonks, I should say. So let's see. Review process still underway. At the bench, it looks close. Zonks may have touched that one. In that case, the points would reverse. The point would go to St. Thomas. It'd be 0-1. As it stands, it's 1-0. The Jacks up. St. Thomas hitting percentage as a team is .205. The Jackrabbit hitting percentage of a team also .205, interestingly enough. Both teams playing very similarly throughout the first 4 sets. Each team has 151 attacks. So that call's going to stand. The Jacks don't touch it, and a point for them. Both teams have 151 attacks. St. Thomas has 51 kills. Jacks have 55. But St. Thomas has 20 attack errors, and the Jackrabbits have 24. So Weber on the serve, picked up by Gavlin. And a spike sent across by Addie Schmatzer. And she's going to get the kill. So 1-1 in set number 5. It all comes down to this. Serving for the Tommies, Ella Vogel. It's a service ace. Richardson just backs away from it. It didn't look like it was going out of bounds. Unfortunate point there for St. Thomas. Richardson plays this one. Hahn across to Zonk. She sends it across to St. Thomas territory. Gustafson sends it out of bounds. Point for the Jacks. It's 2-2. Set number 5. This one played to 15. Madison Burr behind the line. Burr sent across. And Gustafson off the hands of the block. and out of bounds. So point for the Tommies. 2-3 as St. Thomas is going to be ahead by 1 here. Allie Kopp in for St. Thomas and behind the line serving. Serve picked up by Richardson. Hahn sets up Zonks. Tipping above the block. Touched multiple times by Wetter. And that is called. So point for the Jackrabbits. 3-all. Set number 5. And St. Thomas is going to challenge. So again, St. Thomas challenging the ruling that there was a touch. And they say they didn't touch it. We'll see. Another challenge here. As Pocket Full of Sunshine by Natasha Benningfield plays one of my all-time favorite songs. That was actually my high school senior graduation class song, interestingly enough. Pocket Full of Sunshine. It looks close again. You know, I'm not a professional, but looks close. We should be getting a call here. Again, just waiting for the ruling. Just talking to the scorers right now. So after review, net violation by the Tommies. Point stands for the Jackrabbits. So 3-all, set number 5, Riley Martin back behind the line. Martin's serve. Picked up by Galvin. Sent across by Megan Wetter, and that one is going to be a kill. 3-4. Jacks down by 1. And it's Ellie Gustafson. Sydney Shetland tipping across. Tommy's all over it. Martin sets up Zonk. She's blocked up front. Point for the Tommies. 3-5. Jacks down by 2. And a timeout going to be called from the Jackrabbits, their first of 2. We'll step away for about 30 seconds. We'll be right back here for set number 5 of Jackrabbit Volleyball. Stick around.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by D.O. Bike and Fitness. Located at 1738 6th Street in Brooklyn, South Dakota, D.O. is a place for all things bikes. Offering top brands such as Trap and Electra, this close-to-campus store has both bike and e-bike options. Remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy a bike, and that's pretty close. 692-2022 is the number to call for this full-service and sales store. D.O. is a proud sponsor of SDSU Student Radio KSDJ 90.7.
Welcome back. It's set number 5. Volleyball action here on Collegiate Sports. I'm Ben Anderson. Braden Byers with us back in the studio. Ellie Gustafson out, serving for the Tommies. It's 3-5. Tommies are ahead. Weber Bumps to Martin. Zonks on the spike and the kill. Kill for Sylvie Zonks. That brings her up to 20, and Martin on the assist. She has 22 of those. 4-5. Jacks down by 1 here. Sylvie Zonks serving. Picked up by Gustafson. Cross to Galvin. Martin jumping up for it. Richardson across to Van Igdam, picked up by the libero. Back across, Shetnin. Touches and Martin forced to dive. Looks like a net violation called on the Jacks, and the point awarded to St. Thomas. 4-6. Tommy's up by 2 in set number 5. Peyton Willman serving, picked up by Zonks. Martin to Shetnin, out of bounds. The back line. Again, Peyton Willman serving for St. Thomas. Riley Martin dives. Van Igdam not able to return. That ball ended up closer to the scorer's table than the net. So it's 4-8 in set number 5. The Jacks are down 5-4. And we switch sides. So the Jacks on my near side now. St. Thomas on the far side. The Jacks need to get it going. The Jackrabbits are going to call a timeout here, so we'll just stay here for this one. Coming up for the Jackrabbit Volleyball team this Saturday, they play North Dakota State right here in Brookings. We won't have that one on Collegiate Sports, but we'll get the next one on November 14th, Thursday, versus Oral Roberts. That's senior night right here in Brookings as well. And then for the last 2 games of the season, they head away on November 16th at North Dakota and November 19th at South Dakota. So that one will be interesting as well. As that game in Brookings also went into 5 sets. So we'll see how that shakes out for the Jacks. They've got a chance to go undefeated, but they got to win this one first. It's 4-8. The Jacks need to get it going. And then after the regular season, starting November 24th through the 26th, Summit League Championships headed to Kansas City, Missouri this year. So, serving Peyton Willman for the Tommies. Let's see it. A little bit of miscommunication where Richardson gets there. Groves sends it across, dug up by the Tommies. They're all over it. Groves on the block up front. And that time the block by Shetnin is late. She was just late to get the arms up, and it goes right over her head, and no one's there on the coverage. So 4-9. Served by the Tommies. Martin set up Shetnin, who tries to tip in the middle, and that's a successful tip as it gets hit out of bounds. Point to the Jacks, 5-9. The Jacks are down by 4. Shetnin heads to the bench. Jocelyn Richardson behind the line. Needs some points here. Picked up by the libero. Direct set across. Van Igdam's ready. Van Igdam on the spike. Tommy's all over it. That time touched by Richardson, and a kill off the spike by Lauren Galvin. 5-10. The Tommies are up by 5. It's set number 5. The Jacks are undefeated, 22-0. Jocelyn Richardson to Burr. Burr sends a spike. Tommy's dig. Galvin to open space and a kill. 5-11. The Jacks down by 6. The Tommies only need 4 more to take it. Morgan Keeley Out of bounds, service error, point for the Jackrabbits. 6-11. Jacks down by 5. Need some success. Cameron Hahn is in to serve. Hahn serve, inbounds, picked up by Gustafson. Sent across by Galvin, and it's Richardson who has to dive for the dig, but she gets there. Van Igdam sends it back into Tommy territory. Block up front by Ventling Brown. Keeps it on the Tommy side. They tip across. Richardson to Zonks to Van Igdam. And Van Igdam with the kill. 7-11. Jacks down by 4. Cameron Hahn serving still. Gustafson bumps. Tommy's sent back a spike in open space, and it hits the court on the Jackrabbit side. 7-12. Tommies need 3 more. Jacks need 5 to catch up. Lauren Galvin for the Tommies. Across to Zonks, and Zonks just loses her footing and bumps it shallow and under the net. 7-13. Ace for St. Thomas. Again, Galvin to Zonks. Hahn sets up Burr. Burr lays it down. Point for Madison Burr. It's 8-13. The Tommies need 2 more. The Jacks are looking to get about 5 more to catch up. Rachel Weber behind the line, serving. Weber, Gustafson, St. Thomas sends a spike off the blocker's hands. Richardson with the dig. Zonks gets blocked up front, and it hits Burr in the face. Point for St. Thomas. It is match point for St. Thomas. It's 8-14. The Jacks need 6 to catch up. Number 14, Ella Vogel, behind the line for St. Thomas. Just looking for any wet spots on the court right now. It is match point. Vogel back to serve, match point. And it's out of bounds. Service error. Point for the Jacks, 9-14. They need a miracle. Timeout called by St. Thomas. This is a big one. Set number 5. Right here in First Bank and Trust Arena. It's 9-14. The Jackrabbits are down by 5. It's match point. And St. Thomas uses a timeout. This is a big one. The Jacks are undefeated as of right now. They're 22-0, 11-0 in the conference. St. Thomas 14-10, 6-6 in the conference. That could change tonight. We will see. So, timeout coming to an end. It all comes down to this. The Jacks need a flawless run. Madison Burr is the one behind the line for the Jackrabbits. There can't be any errors. The Jacks need 5 more points to force extra here in set number 5. So, need a big run. Madison Burr. Serve barely clears the net. Close. Tommy's all over it. They send a spike. Hahn able to dig it. Weber. Veiling Brown tips over and a point. Veiling Brown gets it right in between about 3 Tommies, but they get confused. Miscommunication. Point there. It's 10-14. Madison Burr serving still. Clears the top of the net, but barely. It's really close. And a spike. Rachel Weber with the dig. Hahn. Zonks over the blockers. And a block up front by Shetnin. Keeps it on the Tommy side. They send a spike. Out of bounds. Point for the Jacks. That was close, but out of bounds. 11-14. Jacks down by 3, and the Tommies take their next timeout. No timeouts left now. It's really close. It's really close. 11-14. Set number 5. The Jacks need about 3 more to force some extra points into the mix. The Jacks on the 3-0 scoring run. They need it. They can't let up 1. It's silent in here when the Jackrabbits are serving. It is dead quiet. It is a surreal feeling. The Jacks put themselves into this situation. They played a messy game in that 3rd set, and they played messy earlier in this 5th set. And it is costing them these high-pressure situations. All right, timeouts coming to an end. No timeouts for either team remain. It's all up to this. The Jacks need 3 more. They need to go on a 6-0 run, and then they're safe from match point. So Madison Burr still serving for the Jackrabbits. It's all up to her. 1 service error ends it. So we'll see. Madison Burr. Serve is good, inbounds. And the Tommies send back a spike, blocked by Zonks. On the Jackrabbit side, Hahn bumping across. Zonks sends it over the blockers, and a point and a kill for Sylvie Zonks. 12-14. No errors allowed. Madison Burr. Pressure's on. It's inbounds. It's good. The Tommies are playing it. They do a direct set. Shetnin's there! Shetnin with the kill! (13-14). The Jacks aren't safe from match point yet. They need this one. Madison Burr. It's close, and it's an ace! It's an ace for Madison Burr! A 6-0 scoring run for the Jackrabbits brings up 14-14 in set number 5. St. Thomas diving, Hahn, Shetnin back across, a great recovery. St. Thomas sends it out of bounds off the tip of the blockers. Point for St. Thomas. Point for St. Thomas, 14-15. It's match point. St. Thomas now on the serve. And back behind the line, it's Allie Kopp. Allie Kopp for St. Thomas. Goes to Richardson. Hahn, all the way across. Zonks sends it down. Dug up by St. Thomas. They send back a spike of their own. It's Weber. Hahn. Zonks gets blocked. Richardson on the dig. And Zonks sends it out of bounds. It's ruled a point for St. Thomas. A sideline foul called. Told back to get back to the sideline. A challenge comes out. It's you have to challenge for Georgialis. I mean, it went out of bounds. The Jacks might lose it. The scoreboard says 14-16. It's all up to the challenge. It was never touched by anyone on St. Thomas in the replay. It goes out of bounds. I don't think we got a chance. I think people starting to clear out in First Bank and Trust. And the replay still underway. I think it all comes down to this, which is why they're taking a lot of time to review it, but I don't think it was touched by anyone on St. Thomas. We might have lost this one. St. Thomas seems very confident, celebrating. Still no ruling here, but some fans starting to leave. Challenge still underway by Dan Georgalis. It was a good game. Jacks went on a 6-0 scoring run to force these extra points and might not have been able to pull it out. So the call stands as it is. And the Tommies are going to defeat the Jackrabbits, ending their 22-game winning streak. Set number 5. Final score, 14-16. Tommies ahead by 2. We almost had them. Went on a 6-0 scoring run at the end. Couldn't do it. And St. Thomas able to pull out a win in Brookings. 3-2. It really all came down to that third set. The Jacks played messy, and the 5th set in the beginning, it shouldn't have been like that at all. So the Tommies put the nail in the Jackrabbits, giving them their first loss of the season and the first loss in the conference. The Jackrabbits moved to 22-1 and 11-1 in Summit League play. First loss right here on the Thursday, November 7th. Win streak ends for the Jackrabbits and head coach Dan Georgalis. Nothing else you really could have done. Played too close to the left sideline and it got sent out of bounds. No touch by St. Thomas. Gives the Jacks the loss. Here, I mean, you just felt the energy get sucked out of the arena. It was surreal how active the crowd was. Silent when the Jacks were on serve, and so loud when St. Thomas was playing, and the crowd was into it, and they couldn't. You just felt it go dead at the end, and as people started to trickle out and leave. So. Next game for volleyball, right here versus North Dakota State, Saturday at 1 p.m. Come out. These games are good, as you could see. It came down to the very end. So definitely worth coming out and watching Jackrabbit Volleyball here
in First Bank and Trust Arena, brand new stadium. So, I mean, I'll bring it over to Brandon Byers here for the post-game report after this. So I've been Ben Anderson here with you for Jackrabbit Volleyball, first loss of the season right here in First Bank and Trust Arena. So this has been Collegiate Sports. I've been Ben Anderson. As always, go big, go blue, go Jacks. Coming at you next, Brandon Byers post-game report. Stick around.
Support comes from the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum in Brookings, inspiring a passion for the diverse history, culture, and science of agriculture in South Dakota. To learn more about exhibits and events, you can visit agmuseum.com.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Jackrabbit Women's Volleyball's win streak comes to an end here tonight against St. Thomas. The Tommies from St. Paul, Minnesota, defeat the Jackrabbits here tonight 3-2 in the sets. 25-22 in favor of the Jacks, 25-22 in favor of the Tommies, 25-16 in favor of the Tommies, 25-15 in favor of the Jacks, and the fifth and final set going into an extra point, 16-14, the final in set number 5. And as I mentioned, the win streak coming to an end here tonight for South Dakota State, but they remain at the top of the Summit League. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. Looking at the stats here, this was an even game, and this game could not have been more even looking at the team stats. 177 attacks to 173 for South Dakota State, 60 for St. Thomas, 60 kills for St. Thomas, 62 for SDSU, 23 attack errors for St. Thomas, 28 for SDSU, and I think where the Tommies edged out SDSU a little bit, a 209 hitting percentage versus a 197. But then going down the rest of it, 7 aces for both teams, 70 digs for St. Thomas, 72 for SDSU, 11 blocks for the Tommies, 10 blocks for the Jackrabbits. Overall, just a very, very even match. Looking at the St. Thomas stats for individual-wise, 16 kills to lead the way for Lauren Galvin. She had 48 total attacks and 7 errors for a hitting percentage of 188. She had 7 digs and 2 blocks as well. Ellie Gustafson, 12 kills for her, 4 errors, 37 total attacks with a 216 hitting percentage. She had 14 digs for the Tommies here tonight, and that might seem like a lot, but we go down, and Ella Vogel had 24 digs for the Tommies here tonight. 11 kills for Tezra Rudzitis, and Megan Wetter had 10, that rounding out the double-digit kill players for St. Thomas. For South Dakota State, only one player had double-digit kills. That was Sylvie Gunts. 21 kills for her, 10 errors, 54 total attacks, a 204 hitting percentage. She had 4 assists, 13 digs for her, and 2 blocks. Madison Burr and Katie Van Egdom both had 9 kills. Sydney Shetnan had 8. Alyssa Groves with 6. And Annalie Ventling Brown with 5. Looking at the dig numbers, Jocelyn Richardson led the way in digs with 16, and Cameron Hahn had 10 digs for the Jackrabbits as well. And pacing the team in blocks tonight was Sydney Shetton, only 6 for her, and Alyssa Groves and Madison Burr both finishing with 4 digs, while blocks, and Skunts and Ventling Brown finishing with 2 blocks as well. Switching gears now, gonna take a look at the volleyball schedule for tonight. What else happened around the Summit League on this Thursday, November 7th? South Dakota got another win under their belt. They improve as they get the 3-1 win over North Dakota State, who the Jackrabbits will face on Saturday, and more on that in just a moment. Kansas City, a 3-1 win over Denver, and North Dakota 3-0 over Oral Roberts. And looking at the standings here as we sit, SDSU does fall to 22-1, 11-1 overall in the conference. They're still in first place and have won both games over the Omaha Mavericks. And I know a lot of us are circling that game in just a couple of weeks' time, South Dakota versus South Dakota State down in Vermillion. That very well, depending on what happens the rest of the way with Omaha and South Dakota State, could determine the regular season Summit League championship. So all eyes on that game. Omaha again behind them, 10-2 overall in the conference. South Dakota at 10-3. Then a little bit of a drop off. St. Thomas down there improving to 7-6 in the conference. North Dakota State 6-7. Denver 5-8. Kansas City 3-9. North Dakota and Oral Roberts are both sitting at 2-10. So now for a quick spin around Jackrabbit Athletics. Earlier on today, the South Dakota State women's soccer team played in the semifinal match of the Summit League Women's Soccer Championships. They earned a 2-1 victory over Denver up in Fargo at Dakota Field to advance to the tournament championship match. The rematch between the Jacks and the Pios came exactly 2 weeks after Denver won 2-1 over the Pioneers in Brookings. So they advance on to the Summit League championship game. There were goals from Casey Manding in the 28th minute, Avery LeBlanc, assisted by Haley Christensen in the 60th minute, and Jaden Goodrich for Denver got one on the board for the Pioneers late in the 88th minute. But the Jackrabbits advance on to take on Oral Roberts up in Fargo, and I believe that is going to be on Sunday, November 10th at 1 p.m. in Fargo against Oral Roberts, and you can watch that on the Summit League Network. Looking ahead to tomorrow, SDSU going to be hosting a basketball doubleheader. As Ben mentioned throughout the broadcast, Collegiate Sports will have the women's game, but unfortunately not going to be able to have the staff to do the men's game. But the women are going to be hosting Creighton for the first official game, basketball game in First Bank and Trust Arena, an NCAA tournament team a year ago. That's going to be a great matchup between the Jackrabbits and the Blue Jays. And then the men after that going to be hosting Long Beach State, another NCAA tournament team as well. So 4 NCAA tournament teams on display tomorrow at First Bank and Trust Arena. The women's game against Creighton starting at 6, and the men will be at 8:15 in First Bank and Trust Arena. Also, just looking at other sports as well, the women's swimming and diving team will be at home, up at the Marshall Center pool. The Marshall Center connected to First Bank and Trust Arena. They're going to be taking on Nebraska at 4 p.m. And then looking forward to Saturday, the wrestling team gets their season started up in Fargo at the Bison Open, and some wrestlers will compete as well at the Dakota Wesleyan Open. down in Mitchell. But the big ticket items, football against North Dakota up in Grand Forks. That's going to be at 1 p.m. And you can watch that on Midcoast Sports or ESPN Plus, or listen to it on the Jackrabbit Sports Network. And then women's volleyball again back in action against the North Dakota State Bison at First Bank and Trust Arena. If you can't make it to that one at 1 p.m., it will be available to watch on the Summit League Network. Then women's soccer again, Oral Roberts, the Summit League Championship game in women's soccer between the Jackrabbits and the Golden Eagles in Fargo at 1. And then next Wednesday, a big matchup, the women's basketball team taking on Wisconsin, a Big Ten opponent. That will be at 7 p.m. in First Bank and Trust Arena, and we will have that one for you here on Collegiate Sports and KSDJ FM. That's a look at everything. A 3-2 final. St. Thomas gets the win over South Dakota State, ending their win streak. They fall to 22-1 and 11-1 in the conference. I want to say thank you to everybody that makes this thing possible for Ben Anderson. And I know he was a little bit under the weather today, but holding it out, and he'll be holding it out for the Creighton game tomorrow. So thanks to him for getting that done, and for everybody that makes this possible. For Ben Anderson, I am Braden Byers saying so long. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back with Jackrabbit women's basketball against Creighton tomorrow evening. Have a good night, everyone.
You're listening to 90.7 KSDJ Brookings.
This news story is courtesy of Dakota News Now. Food insecurity is always affecting